In the quiet town of Ashbourne, a forbidden love story was unfolding that would test faith, morality, and the deepest human emotions. Imagine a connection so powerful yet so condemned that every heartbeat felt like a risk, every glance a temptation toward ruin. Could love ever justify the breaking of sacred vows? Could desire ever be forgiven when it trespasses against the law of God? Disclaimer: this is a dramatic content for awareness and discussion only. It all began in 2015 when Hannah, a devoted church volunteer known for her unwavering faith, met Daniel, a man recently returned from years abroad, carrying wounds and secrets that only she seemed able to recognize. Their meetings were innocent at first, an exchange of books at the parish, shared prayer sessions, small gestures of kindness, but slowly, the subtle chemistry between them became undeniable. Every conversation lingered a little longer, every touch seemed accidental yet charged, and the quiet town of Ashbourne remained oblivious to the storm brewing in their hearts. Hannah was engaged to Matthew, a kind and respectable man from her congregation. Daniel, on the other hand, was still seeking his place in a world that had judged him harshly for his past mistakes. Their connection was not merely physical, it was emotional, intellectual, spiritual. They spoke of art, of faith, of loss, and of hope, sharing parts of themselves that no one else could reach. But with each revelation, the stakes grew higher. In the summer of 2016, during the town's annual festival, a moment of weakness led to an innocent touch that ignited years of suppressed desire. Hannah's hand brushed Daniel's as they helped hang decorations, and in that instant, the world around them seemed to dissolve. The air was thick with tension, hearts pounding in sync with a rhythm they both feared to acknowledge. Could God forgive such a bond? Could they forgive themselves? As months passed, their clandestine encounters increased in secrecy. Every conversation carried unspoken longing. Every meeting became a test of will. Hannah found herself torn between the safety of obedience and the thrill of forbidden passion. Daniel, equally tormented, struggled to reconcile his attraction with the moral boundaries he had always respected. Their story became a tapestry of emotional drama, heartbreak, and raw human desire, a tragic love story that could not easily be dismissed or forgotten. Yet, the universe has a way of testing the strongest connections. Rumors began to surface, the whispers of suspicion growing louder in the community. Matthew, perceptive and caring, noticed subtle changes, the lingering looks, the quiet moments of distraction, the letters left unanswered. Confrontation loomed on the horizon, threatening to expose every hidden truth, every secret passion they had desperately tried to conceal. One rainy evening, as Hannah walked alone along the riverbank, Daniel appeared from the shadows. Their eyes met, the world shrinking to only the two of them. Words were unnecessary. Their hearts spoke louder than any confession. But as the rain soaked their clothes and chilled their skin, reality intruded. If anyone discovered this love, lives would be shattered. Families, reputations, futures, everything was at stake. Could love truly survive against such odds, or would it destroy everything it touched? As the tension escalated, Hannah faced a moral crossroads. Could she continue a love that defied God's law and risk eternal consequences? Or could she sever ties and live in silent agony, the memory of forbidden love haunting her forever? The emotional stakes were overwhelming, the psychological toll profound. Every day was a battle of heart versus faith, passion versus duty, temptation versus conscience. The story deepened in 2017, when a letter from Daniel arrived at Hannah's doorstep, a confession of love, of longing, of regret. It was a letter that could not be ignored. As she read each line, her mind raced with questions. Could God forgive them? Was love worth the spiritual and social consequences they faced? And in the quiet moments that followed, Hannah realized the true weight of her choices, the heartbreak, the thrill, The danger of loving someone when every law and expectation warned against it. A sudden knock on the door. Matthew's voice called out, unsuspecting. Hannah's heart raced. Would she hide the truth? Or would the storm finally break? The answers were coming faster than she could process, and the path forward was shrouded in uncertainty and suspense. Could God forgive a love that had broken his law? Or were they destined for eternal regret and sorrow? The most intense revelations are yet to come. What will Hannah choose when the truth can no longer hide? And how will the forces of faith and desire collide in a storm of morality and emotion? In the weeks that followed, Ashbourne seemed peaceful, almost oblivious to the turmoil brewing behind closed doors. But for Hannah and Daniel, every day was a test of willpower, a delicate dance on the edge of destruction. Daniel had moved closer to town under the guise of a temporary job, and the proximity only fueled the magnetic pull they both tried so desperately to resist. Every encounter, whether in the sunlit aisles of the market or during fleeting moments at church events, was fraught with tension, their eyes speaking the words their lips could not dare utter. The audience can almost feel the electricity between them, the unspoken longing that hovered like a storm cloud ready to burst. Hannah tried to focus on Matthew, her fiancé, a man whose love was steady and predictable. Yet, the predictability of Matthew's love only reminded her of what she could not have with Daniel, the raw, unfiltered intensity that both terrified and exhilarated her. She found herself reflecting on her own values, her faith, and the code of morality she had always held sacred. Could she betray those principles and still believe in her own worth? Each evening, she prayed not just for guidance, but for the strength to resist what she knew was inevitable. Meanwhile, Daniel wrestled with his own demons. Years of loneliness and rejection had made him wary of intimacy, yet Hannah's presence disarmed him in ways he never imagined possible. In private, he wrote her letters filled with confessions, not daring to send them, but reading them aloud to the night sky, as if the universe itself could hear his sorrow and longing. He questioned the morality of their connection constantly, wondering if the passion he felt was a test of faith or a curse he was powerless to resist. One fateful evening, during a church-sponsored charity gala, the tension between them reached its peak. Hannah's hand brushed Daniel's under the table, the accidental touch sending shockwaves through both of them. The dim candlelight reflected in their eyes, each glance carrying weightier meaning than words could express. Matthew, ever observant, noticed the fleeting tension but could not pinpoint its cause. The audience is left wondering, could Matthew sense the forbidden connection even if he could not yet define it? As the weeks grew darker with secrecy, Hannah found herself at the edge of a moral abyss. She began to question everything she had believed, the teachings she held sacred, the vows she had promised to honor, and the societal expectations that sought to constrain her desires. At the same time, the town's gossip network, small and omnipresent, began to stir. Whispers of impropriety and questionable meetings traveled on the wind, reaching ears that should have remained deaf. The pressure mounted. Would their secret ever remain buried? Or was it only a matter of time before revelation struck like lightning? Then came the night that changed everything. Daniel invited Hannah to the abandoned chapel at the outskirts of Ashbourne, a place they had once discovered together during a quiet afternoon walk. The air was thick with rain and tension. The wind howled through broken stained glass, echoing the chaotic rhythm of their hearts. Hannah knew that meeting him here was a line she could not uncross. Their eyes met, and for a moment, silence carried more meaning than words. Each second stretched into eternity. In that chapel, Daniel finally spoke the words he had kept locked inside for months. Hannah, I cannot live like this anymore, hiding, pretending, denying what is true. You and I, we belong together, even if the world condemns it. Hannah felt a whirlwind of emotions, fear, excitement, guilt, and desire, all colliding within her. Could God forgive them? Could their love ever be justified, or were they destined to live with this secret as a burden for the rest of their lives? Suddenly, a shadow crossed the doorway. Matthew, having followed Hannah out of concern and curiosity, now stood there, witnessing a moment that would alter all of their lives. The air seemed to freeze. Would Hannah confess? Would Daniel speak? Or would the unspoken truths finally erupt into chaos, shattering hearts and lives alike? The next moments will test faith, loyalty, and the very essence of forgiveness. Can love survive when the divine law and human desire collide? The room seemed to contract with tension as Matthew's presence became undeniable. Hannah's heart raced, her mind a storm of guilt, fear, and unspoken longing. Daniel's eyes, filled with both defiance and desperation, locked onto hers, silently pleading for her to make a choice. Yet the weight of their shared sin and societal expectation pressed down on them like a relentless tide. Rain pelted the broken windows, casting jagged reflections across the old chapel walls, mirroring the fractured reality of their hearts. Every sound, the whisper of the wind, the distant rumble of thunder, seemed amplified, turning the space into a theater of emotional turmoil. Matthew stepped closer, his voice a mixture of concern and suspicion. "Hannah, what is happening here?" The words were simple, but the gravity behind them threatened to crack the delicate illusion of secrecy that Hannah and Daniel had maintained for months. Hannah's throat tightened. The truth hovered on the precipice of her lips, yet fear held her captive. She knew that revealing their feelings could destroy not only her relationship with Matthew, but the very foundation of her community's trust. At the same time, the suffocating weight of secrecy was unbearable. How long could she continue living in half-truths, hiding the very essence of her heart? Daniel stepped forward, his own voice trembling, raw with vulnerability. "Matthew, it's complicated. I never intended for any of this to happen, but what Hannah and I feel, it's real. You have to understand, this isn't a betrayal. It's a truth that has been waiting to surface." The words, though earnest, felt like sparks thrown onto dry timber. Hannah's eyes welled with tears, reflecting both the fear of judgment and the profound longing that had haunted her for months. Could love justify defiance? Could human desire ever align with divine expectation? The storm outside intensified, and with it, the chaos inside. The chapel, once a sanctuary, now felt like a crucible in which every secret, every stolen glance, and every confession of the heart was about to be tested. Hannah's mind raced back to the countless nights she had spent praying for clarity, wrestling with guilt, and trying to reconcile her love for Daniel with the promises she had made to Matthew. Each memory weighed heavily, but the magnetic pull of Daniel's presence made the past feel distant, almost irrelevant. In the midst of this maelstrom, a choice had to be made. Hannah's hands trembled as she reached for Daniel's, the warmth of his touch igniting a storm of emotion that words could never capture. Matthew's gaze flickered between them, a mixture of hurt, confusion, and disbelief etched onto his face. The silence that followed was deafening, filled with the unspoken question that hovered between all three. Could love survive when it had already broken the law, both human and divine? Suddenly, the chapel door slammed shut with a violent gust of wind, forcing them into an unplanned intimacy of circumstance. The electricity in the room was palpable. Each heartbeat seemed to echo like a drum in the vast, empty space. Daniel whispered, barely audible over the storm, "Hannah, this is our moment. We can't pretend anymore." Hannah's eyes darted to Matthew, and in that fleeting glance, the enormity of her decision became clear. Betrayal or truth. One path would leave devastation in its wake, the other would offer forbidden freedom. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within Hannah. The question that haunted her every waking moment now demanded an answer. Could she forsake everything she had known for a love that defied morality, convention, and perhaps even God's law? The suspense clung to the room like a tangible fog, leaving the audience on the edge of their seats, aching to know which path Hannah would choose, which hearts would be shattered, and whether forgiveness, even divine forgiveness, could ever be sought or earned. If this story has gripped you so far, comment divine or desire. Share this heart-wrenching tale with those who need to experience it. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVc and turn on the notification bell for more forbidden love stories that test the boundaries of morality, passion, and faith. Will Hannah confess, or will the secret love consume everyone involved? Can forgiveness truly exist when love has broken the law? The rain had slowed to a soft drizzle, but the storm in Hannah's heart raged more fiercely than ever. She sat alone in the chapel, the candlelight flickering across the pews, casting shadows that seemed to dance with every painful memory. Daniel had left hours ago, leaving her with the weight of the choices she had made, and the unbearable truth of the love she could no longer hide. Her hands trembled as she clutched the small envelope containing her confession. Every word painstakingly written, every truth laid bare. Outside, the world was silent, but inside, the questions she had feared for months clawed at her. Could love exist without consequence? Could she ever reconcile her passion with her faith? When Matthew entered quietly, the tension in the room became almost suffocating. His eyes, once warm and trusting, now reflected a maelstrom of hurt and disbelief. Hannah. His voice was low, trembling with a mixture of anger and confusion. She looked up, tears streaking her face, and for a moment, words failed her. Every confession she had rehearsed, every explanation seemed inadequate in the face of the truth. Could one human heart withstand the judgment of another, especially when that judgment carried the weight of betrayal and devotion intertwined? Hannah's voice broke through the silence, raw and trembling. Matthew, I had to tell you. I couldn't keep living a lie. Not to you, not to God, and not to myself. What I feel for Daniel, it's real. But it doesn't erase everything we shared. It doesn't mean I wanted to hurt you. Her words hung in the air, fragile as glass, each syllable a plea for understanding. Matthew's face hardened, yet beneath the surface, something softer lingered, a flicker of empathy, the struggle between love and the pain of betrayal. Could forgiveness survive such a revelation, or was it already too late? Daniel returned, drawn back by the echoes of confession and the unbreakable bond they shared. The three of them stood in a triangle of human emotion, each wrestling with their own desires, regrets, and moral boundaries. Daniel reached for Hannah's hand, and in that touch, the weight of unspoken truths passed between them. But it was not only their hearts that were entangled. The repercussions of their choices stretched beyond them, threatening to unravel families, friendships, and faith itself. In the silence that followed, a profound realization emerged. Freedom, they understood, was never about denying consequences or avoiding judgment. It was about courage, the courage to face one's deepest truths, to confess, and to accept the outcomes, no matter how painful. Hannah's confession had not only freed her heart, but had forced all three to confront the raw, unvarnished reality of love and morality. Could divine forgiveness exist for a love that had broken sacred laws? Perhaps, but only if hearts were willing to embrace truth, humility, and genuine repentance. The chapel door opened to the soft morning light, illuminating the shattered remnants of fear, guilt, and secrecy. Hannah exhaled slowly, the first sense of peace she had felt in months. Daniel's hand remained gently in hers, a quiet promise of love tempered by wisdom and restraint. Matthew, though still wounded, had begun to see that love, in all its messy and forbidden forms, could coexist with grace and understanding. If humans chose honesty over denial, empathy over condemnation, As the story reaches its conclusion, the ultimate question lingers for every viewer. Can love truly be forgiven when it defies both human and divine law? Could you ever confess a truth that might shatter hearts, yet set others free? How far would you go to honor your own heart, even if it meant breaking the rules imposed by faith, society, or morality? If this story has moved you, comment "Truth over Fear." Share it with those who need to hear it. Like, follow, and subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVc for more gripping tales of forbidden love, heartbreak, and redemption. Turn on the notification bell to witness the next emotional journey where passion and morality collide, and the human heart faces its most difficult choices. This is Taboo Romance Stories TVc, forbidden romance stories, told like never before. Stay with us for more gripping tales of passion, desire, and heartbreak that defy the rules of love and life. Matthew, though still wounded, had begun to see that love, in all its messy and forbidden forms, could coexist with grace and understanding. If humans chose honesty over denial, empathy over condemnation. As the story reaches its conclusion, the ultimate question lingers for every viewer. Can love truly be forgiven when it defies both human and divine law? Could you ever confess a truth that might shatter hearts, yet set others free? How far would you go to honor your own heart, even if it meant breaking the rules imposed by faith, society, or morality? If this story has moved you, comment "Truth over Fear." Share it with those who need to hear it. Like, follow, and subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVc for more gripping tales of forbidden love, heartbreak, and redemption. Turn on the notification bell to witness the next emotional journey where passion and morality collide, and the human heart faces its most difficult choices. This is Taboo Romance Stories TVc, forbidden romance stories, told like never before. Stay with us for more gripping tales of passion, desire, and heartbreak that defy the rules of love and life.